joining me here on this edition of the Breeders' Cup 2021 preview. But before we talk about the Todd squad heading to Del Mar, I would be remiss if I did not say congratulations. You are officially in the Hall of Fame. And I got to say that your induction speech, which was, I have to say, performed by Mike Repole, it has to be one of the most epic induction speeches to ever echo through those hallowed halls. Wouldn't you agree?
It was quite entertaining for sure.
I would think, if the business and the, business dealings he has, horse racing, endeavors ever didn't work out, stand-up comedy could be the next avenue for Mr. Mike Repole. It was fabulous.
It was, yeah. It was a great day for everyone, and Mike took plenty of time to get all of his points across.
Well, he got many across. I mean, your reputation precedes you. You have won, specifically in relation to the Breeders' Cup, 11 championship races. You've earned well over $415 million in earnings. I mean, that's just incredible right there. And you've trained champions like a Shadow, who's in the Hall of Fame as well. So, when you look back on all of that, it was no surprise you would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I'm sure when you look at your own career, you kind of still pinch yourself. I mean, you were working for the likes of Charlie Whittingham. You worked with D. Wayne Lucas, and it's got to feel almost surreal.
It does. I remember when I the first summer when I worked for Charlie Whittingham, and the first day I was there and being around horses like Ferdinand and Judge Angelucci and Goodbye Halo and all these horses that, I'd only read about, and the Blood Horse and the Racing Form and those kind of things. So to work around those horses, I never really dreamt that, I would be able to train horses up, at that level. So, I've been blessed and been given a lot of tremendous opportunities.
Yeah. And, another thing I want to definitely say that we appreciate so much regarding you being here in racing, not only as a fabulous trainer, but as a fabulous ambassador. One of those big wins you've had over the course of your career, winning the Kentucky Derby in 2017 with Always Dreaming. You had also won previously with Super Saver. But I remember actually being there when Always Dreaming had won, and you, as the winning trainer, were gifted this beautiful truck. And I remember that you actually said, you know what, I'm going to keep this truck, but I want to donate the value of it to aftercare. And that just always kind of stayed with me, thinking that you were willing to do that.
Well, I mean, it's something that's really, really important to me, our team, our owners, but the entire industry. As I'm really, really pleased with the progress that we've made in that aspect of the industry, and Thoroughbred Aftercare is paramount to the success of our racing future. And so I was happy to be able to make a small contribution to the TAA and New Vocations and Anna Ford, who's been a big supporter of ours for a long time and has revocated a lot of horses. And there's been a lot of great stories behind that. So, we need what they do as much as, the industry needs anything.
And I'm honored to call Anna a friend, and I've actually been out to New Vocations, and I just, I've been out and seen what that money does for these horses. So thank you so much for your contributions to Aftercare. Now, looking ahead, here's the rapid fire portion of our interview, talking again about the Todd squad heading to Del Mar. You've got horses running on both days. And so let's take it to Future Stars Friday first. The Juvenile Turf, Annapolis, undefeated in 2 starts, coming off a win in the Grade 2 Pilgrim. How is he doing?
He's doing great, and I was really pleased with both races. And he showed kind of 2 different dimensions in his debut. He was back off the pace and got a great education for first time out. The second race, we drew a short field. There wasn't much pace in the race, so Irad made a decision to put some pressure on the early pace setter, and I don't think that's his preferred running style, but it was one that seemed to really move him forward. And I think a good tough race like that hopefully has him set up to make another leap forward in the Breeders' Cup.
Well, got a great one-word name, Annapolis. It's one of those ones that sounds pretty intimidating and will look great on a trophy. Moving ahead, the Juvenile Command Performance, owned in part by Mike Rapoli, along with St. Elias Stable. What can you tell us about that second place finish in the Champaign and how he's moving forward training in the morning?
Well, he's always trained really well, and that's why we were willing to kind of step out and take a shot with a maiden in the Champaign. And we felt like his debut, even though he finished second, he ran a winning race. He drew the rail and he got slammed at the start. Got a great education, not a great trip, but from an experience standpoint, he got a really good education that day. And so we said, look, if he would have won, we would have been going to the Champaign, and we're going to treat this race like it was a win. He trained well for the Champaign, and I thought, that he ran a strong race. He was closing well at the end. He galloped out in front. I think he wants 2 turns, and if we can get a favorable pace scenario and he continues to train the way he is, I think he would go into Del Mar with a live chance. I
love it. Union Rags out of a Tappet mare going 2 turns. Right? Why not, right? Now, looking ahead to Saturday, we know that Dr. Post and Happy Saver were horses we were possibly looking at, but now you're saying that they're going to be pointed toward the Clark?
Well, we're not going to rule anything out yet. Happy Saver, we've been finding a little bit of a quarter crack that's held up his training. So he's been going to the track every day. He's been jogging and galloping. We just haven't got it fully patched yet. Until we do that, we can't breeze him. And we're getting to the point where we're on a tight schedule, but our backup plan would be the Clark for him. And then with Dr. Post, we're keeping the Breeders' Cup in play, but I think if the field stays intact, that we'll probably go to the Clark. And he's a horse that's knocked on the door in a number of big races, but he hasn't gotten that Grade 1 win yet, and so we might opt for the Clark to try to get that done. And he's also run well at Gulfstream. So we felt like that'd be a good segue to the Pegasus as well.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Now looking at the Dirt Mile, Life is Good and Mind Control.
Yeah, Life is Good is a super impressive horse to watch train, and he continues to do that. Ran well in the Kelso, and we think, in some cases maybe with a little different schedule and without having an interruption in the middle of the year, he's a horse that we feel like is a classic type horse. But because he did miss a good portion of the middle part of the year, that the Dirt Mile is probably the right avenue for him right now. And then hopefully looking at a race like the Pegasus also.
Nice. Okay. And then Following Sea is a horse that was kind of knocking at the door. He cut him back into the Vosburg, sprinting 6 furlongs off, running in a third place finish in the H. Allen Jerkins. And he comes through for you with a 4 3/4 length victory. Short field, but still, a horse, again, that seemed to be really, again, knocking at the door. I mean, he was already placed in the likes of the Haskell as well as, again, the H. Allen Jerkins. So, 2 third place finishes in Grade 1 events, gets the Vosburg done for you. Son of Run Happy. So what are your expectations for him with the sprint?
Well, I'm going to talk to the guys at Spendthrift this week. He ran great in the Vosburg. It was a win in your own race. So, there's a lot of things to like about that. It is back on a little bit of short rest, and, it's a long ship across the country and up against an incredible field. So we're weighing all those things in. The horse is training well. We'll probably breeze him this week. And, we'll continue to monitor how he's doing. And, there's other races that could be in play if we don't go to the sprint, like the Cigar Mile or the Malibu. So just trying to take our best shot at winning a Grade 1 with him. And, he's a super talented horse. And, he ran so well in the 6 furlong Vosburg. It certainly makes you think hard about the sprint.
Oh, definitely. And also being by Run Happy, won the sprint in 2015, and then out of a Speightstown mare, and Speightstown won it in 2004. It is kind of fun from that angle as well. And now let's talk about Malatat in the distaff. She's a horse who has a big fan following. She's done very little wrong. In her career, She's won every race but one, and that was in the Coaching Club American Oaks. Beaten just ahead. She got caught right there on the wire. So, this filly, again, big fan following, and you've told me in the past that she's also just got a great temperament and personality. So there's just extra reason to love her. So how is she training into the distaff?
She's training as well as ever, and we, made a decision after the Alabama that we were going to point for the distaff, and I think turns out to be 77 days between races. But it's some ways a challenging break. But she's a very smart filly. She's very willing. She trains really, really well. She turns it on when you ask her to, and turns it off when you want her to. So, she's just a super talent, and we're very excited about running her again, and hopefully we have her ready to give her best on the big day.
And another horse who you've got that Breeders' Cup ped cred with, a daughter of Curlin, a classic winner out of Dreaming of Julia, whom you trained out, and then she, a daughter of AP Indy, another classic winner and Hall of Famer. So Hall of Fame, top, bottom, and with her conditioner, Todd Pletcher. So you gotta love that pedigree right there. Todd, any final thoughts from you regarding your horses, Del Mar, heading out to the West Coast? Anything that we should know from a handicapping perspective that you as a trainer kind of insight on that we should be aware of when we're looking at these races?
No, I went back and just looked at not every horse that ran at the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar, but the winners and horses that ran well or horses that we ran, and try to see if there was any sort of angle as to when the best time to ship out was. And pretty much what I discovered is it didn't matter a whole lot. Horses ran very well off the plane from New York, and got there 4, 5, 6 days before other horses were there, maybe 12, 14 days. Steve Asmussen likes to ship his horses to California and train at Santa Anita for a little while, and that was the year Gun Runner won. So I don't see any clear edge to exactly when you get there. I think the most important thing is to bring the best horse. But so the one thing that's a little different this year is the flights are a little different. Tex Sutton, who traditionally flies horses, is not. So hopefully all of that goes smoothly. Most of the guys from New York are going to be using FedEx, and so it's going to be a little bit of a different routine there. But so you might be keeping that in mind and seeing how those early horses perform that are shipping in. But I think it should all be good.
That is a great point, and thank you so much for elaborating on it, because these are things that sometimes we're looking at the PPs, but we're not really thinking about when a horse necessarily shipped in, how they acclimated, and all of that. So definitely valid information to consider. And Todd, coming from you, again, Hall of Fame trainer, we really appreciate that, because that type of insight is invaluable. We are wishing you the best come Breeders' Cup, and again, thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.